As days passed, I couldn't shake off the curiosity about who or what Udo could be. I tried to rationalize it, attributing it to her vivid imagination or perhaps a character from a storybook she might have heard. Yet, deep down, I knew there was more to it than meets the eye. It gnawed at me, a puzzle begging to be solved. I found myself scrutinizing every interaction, every word uttered by my daughter, searching for clues that could unravel the mystery of Udo. Was it a person, a place, or something else entirely? The uncertainty gnawed at my sanity, driving me to the brink of obsession. In my quest for answers, I turned to the internet, scouring forums and message boards in search of similar experiences. To my surprise, I stumbled upon stories of children uttering inexplicable words or phrases that held profound meaning to their parents. Could my daughter's words be a message from beyond, a glimpse into a realm beyond our understanding? As I delved deeper into the enigma of Udo, I began to realize that perhaps the answer lay not in the tangible world but in the realm of the intangible, in the whispers of a child's innocent soul. It was a humbling realization, a reminder that sometimes the greatest mysteries can only be solved by opening our hearts to the wisdom of the unknown. So, I embraced the mystery of Udo, allowing it to guide me on a journey of self-discovery and enlightenment. And though the answer may elude me for now, I find solace in the knowledge that sometimes, it's not the destination that matters but the journey itself. For in the pursuit of truth, we often find ourselves uncovering truths far greater than we could ever imagine. As we strolled through the park near our apartment complex, the sun cast a golden hue over the tranquil surroundings, illuminating the vibrant colors of autumn dancing in the gentle breeze. My daughter skipped ahead, her laughter echoing through the crisp air, while our loyal dog trotted faithfully by our side. Despite the serene setting, my mind was consumed by thoughts of Udo, the mysterious figure that had infiltrated our lives like an enigmatic shadow. I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at my insides, urging me to uncover the truth behind my daughter's cryptic words. Walking beside me, my wife maintained a serene demeanor, but I could sense the turmoil raging within me. As we reached a secluded bench overlooking a tranquil pond, my daughter suddenly stopped in her tracks, her eyes widening with excitement. "Look, Mama, it's Udo," she exclaimed, pointing towards a figure seated on the bench. My wife and I exchanged wary glances, our hearts pounding in unison as we approached the stranger with cautious steps. Drawing closer, I felt a surge of apprehension coursing through me, my mind racing with a myriad of possibilities. Could this be the Udo that my daughter had mentioned? The man on the bench turned to greet us with a warm smile, his eyes crinkling at the corners in genuine friendliness. My wife exchanged polite pleasantries with him, but I remained on edge, my senses heightened as I scrutinized his every move. Despite his friendly demeanor, I couldn't shake the feeling of distrust that lingered within me, a nagging voice in the back of my mind urging me to uncover the truth behind his seemingly innocent facade. As we bid farewell to Udo and continued our walk, I resolved to delve deeper into the mystery surrounding him. Determined to uncover the truth, I spent the following days observing Udo's behavior, searching for any clues that might shed light on his true identity. My wife, sensing my preoccupation, questioned me about my unusual behavior, but I brushed off her concerns, unwilling to share my suspicions until I had concrete evidence to support them. As the days turned into weeks, I delved deeper into the mystery of Udo, uncovering startling revelations that sent shockwaves through my world. Despite my wife's protests, I couldn't ignore the mounting evidence that pointed towards a truth more sinister than I could have ever imagined. We were strolling through the park near our place, the sun casting a warm glow over the surroundings, enveloping us in a sense of tranquility. Alongside me were my daughter, my wife, and our faithful dog. As we ambled along, we crossed paths with a man walking his dog, heading towards us from the opposite direction. An intriguing twist unfolded when our dog seemed to recognize his dog instantly. They greeted each other with a familiarity that caught my attention, prompting me to halt our dog with a firm tug on the leash. Glancing at my wife, I noticed her attempt to deflect the situation, her gaze fixed forward, avoiding any acknowledgement of the encounter. However, my daughter's innocent voice pierced the air as she called out, "Budo! Budo!" with a sense of familiarity reserved for close acquaintances. Yet, the man's response was peculiar. It was as if he didn't recognize us at all, proceeding on his path with his dog in tow, acting as if we were complete strangers. Struck by the oddity of the situation, I attempted to engage the man with a polite smile, which he reciprocated before continuing on his way. The encounter, albeit brief, left a lingering sense of unease hanging in the air. I turned to my wife for an explanation, querying if we knew the man. Her response, tinged with dismissiveness, labeled him as merely an upstairs neighbor despite my daughter's apparent familiarity. As we walked on in silence, my mind raced with questions. The correlation between this encounter and my daughter's earlier mention of Hugo ignited a sense of suspicion within me. The pieces of the puzzle seemed to fall into place, forming a troubling picture of potential infidelity. Though no concrete evidence had surfaced, the mere suggestion gnawed at me, casting a shadow over our otherwise idyllic family outing. Upon our return home, I confronted my wife about the man's identity, her reaction betraying a sense of unease. Her sudden defensiveness only fueled my growing apprehension, leaving me with a sense of foreboding about the truth lurking beneath the surface. Confrontation wasn't on the agenda just yet. I needed to amass evidence. It consumed my thoughts the following day. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right? I scoured the internet, seeking answers and solace. Online forums became my outlet, a platform to articulate my story, to seek validation, or perhaps debunk my suspicions. The idea of unraveling the truth spurred me on. My primary objective: unveil the real identity behind Udo. If Udo was just the dog's name, my entire premise would crumble. I reminded myself not to hang too much on my daughter's innocent words. After all, she was just a 3-year-old with a vivid imagination. Suggestions poured in from the forum members. Hiring a private investigator surfaced as a viable option. I delved into the world of private investigation, selecting an adept professional specializing in infidelity cases. Furnished with the gate code to our apartment and a detailed rundown of my schedule, the investigator embarked on his mission. The subsequent week was an exercise in maintaining a facade of normalcy. I lingered at work, concealing any inkling of suspicion from my wife. It was crucial not to harbor resentment. This was still a journey of speculation, grounded only in circumstantial evidence. Our rendezvous with the investigator marked a pivotal moment. Armed with his findings, he unveiled the truth behind the enigmatic Udo. Hugo, a name that reverberated with significance. 36 years old, recently divorced, with a penchant for fitness and a managerial position at a distribution company. His presence in our apartment stemmed from post-divorce arrangements, sharing custody of his kids with his ex-wife. My heart sank as the investigator presented a folder brimming with snapshots of visual testament to my wife and daughter's friendly exchanges with Hugo at the dog park, their camaraderie evident as their dogs frolicked nearby. The unfolding events cast a shadow over my wife's integrity, unsettling me deeply. Her blatant lies about not knowing Hugo, despite photographic evidence of their interactions, gnawed at my trust in her. I couldn't shake the disconcerting notion that perhaps my daughter's innocent proclamation of Hugo held more weight than I initially believed. The prospect that she might have inadvertently witnessed something untoward between my wife and Hugo troubled me to no end. Our family dynamic never included public displays of affection, especially not in front of our daughter. Even though our intimacy behind closed doors was robust, we kept such expressions confined to the privacy of our bedroom. Yet, Hugo's presence loomed ominously, casting doubt upon the sanctity of our home. Extending the investigator's tenure seemed imperative, though my expectations were tempered by the limitations of surveillance. The prospect of catching my wife and Hugo in a compromising situation seemed remote, given their discretion. Still, I clung to the hope that further scrutiny might yield conclusive evidence. Weeks passed, and the investigator's findings painted a damning portrait of Hugo, a man embroiled in multiple affairs, leveraging his position of authority for personal gain. The revelation pierced me with a mix of indignation and dread. Could my wife be ensnared in Hugo's web of deceit? As the surveillance extended into our home, I grappled with the moral and ethical implications of invading my wife's privacy. The hidden camera remained inconspicuous, yet each day brought the risk of discovery. My apprehension grew as the days passed, yielding no incriminating footage. Contemplating my next move, I weighed the delicate balance between confronting my wife with the evidence at hand and risking irreparable damage to our familial bonds. The fragility of our situation hung heavy upon me, a labyrinth of uncertainty with no clear path forward. The possibility that Hugo and my wife conducted their affair beyond the confines of our home loomed large, a chilling realization that threatened to unravel the fabric of our family. Yet, I remained resolute in my pursuit of truth, driven by a steadfast determination to safeguard my family's well-being, no matter the cost. The despair that washed over me as I realized I wouldn't capture any evidence was suffocating, akin to a heavy weight pressing down on my chest, leaving me gasping for air amidst the suffocating grip of uncertainty. It felt as though every breath I took was a struggle, each inhalation a battle against the overwhelming sense of defeat that threatened to consume me entirely. The notion of the private investigator maintaining a vigilant watch on my front door all day seemed utterly implausible, an insurmountable task that bordered on the realm of impossibility. How could one person possibly monitor every movement and interaction that transpired in the span of a day, tirelessly scrutinizing every detail for the faintest glimmer of evidence? Despite teetering on the brink of giving up, a flicker of hope emerged within me, like a solitary flame in the darkness, urging me to persevere for just one more week. It was a precarious thread of possibility, slender and fragile, but it was all I had to cling to amidst the storm of uncertainty that raged around me. And then, as if by some stroke of fate, that extra week proved to be the turning point, the pivotal moment that altered the course of my fate in an instant. It was like the turning of the tide in a tempestuous sea, a sudden shift in momentum that brought with it a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. In that moment, I knew that I had to press on, to continue my pursuit of the truth with unwavering determination. For even in the darkest of times, there is always a sliver of light, a beacon of hope that guides us forward on our journey, no matter how perilous the path may seem. It was a tumultuous roller coaster of emotions as I watched the damning evidence unfold before me, each revelation like a sharp dagger piercing through the veil of deceit that shrouded my once blissful existence. A surge of sadness and humiliation washed over me, threatening to engulf me in its relentless tide, but amidst it all, a glimmer of relief emerged. Faint yet unmistakable, a relief that this grueling 4-month ordeal, this agonizing journey through the depths of betrayal and deceit, was nearing its long-awaited conclusion. 11 long months had passed since we settled into our apartment, each day marked by the silent torment of uncertainty and suspicion, but now, my daughter's premonition from 4 months ago rang true with haunting clarity, a prophetic warning that I had failed to heed until now. The pivotal moment arrived when I bore witness to the undeniable truth on camera, a truth that shattered the fragile illusion of trust and fidelity that I had so fervently clung to. After I left for work, my wife returned from a walk with our daughter and the dog, accompanied by Hugo, his presence like a dark cloud looming over the threshold of our home. They entered our apartment together, Hugo trailing behind my wife with my daughter leading the way, a scene that played out like a macabre dance of betrayal and deceit. Then, to my dismay, I watched as Hugo enveloped my wife in his arms, his touch a cruel mockery of the love and devotion I had lavished upon her, his kisses a bitter reminder of the passion that had been stolen from me. Their embrace escalated into a passionate kiss, the 6-month pregnancy bump the only barrier between them, a stark reminder of the uncertainty surrounding its paternity, a question that hung heavy in the air like a dark shadow looming over our fractured family. This irrefutable evidence emboldened me to confront my wife, to demand answers to questions that I had long been too afraid to ask, too afraid to confront head-on. Their interaction, though confined to kissing and touching, was a betrayal of the love and commitment I had shown her, a betrayal that cut me to the core like a sharp knife slicing through the fabric of our marriage. I had treated her with reverence, never raising a hand in anger and ensuring her needs were met, yet she could not reciprocate the loyalty I deserved, instead choosing to cast aside our vows in favor of fleeting moments of passion with another man. Her dalliance with Hugo not only jeopardized our relationship but also endangered my health, exposing me to potentially life-threatening sexually transmitted diseases that lurked in the shadows of her infidelity, waiting to strike at the very heart of our family. She had violated the sanctity of our home, the sanctity of our family, behaving with the utmost treachery and deceit, leaving me to pick up the shattered pieces of our shattered marriage. It was time for a frank discussion, a confrontation that would lay bare the harsh truths that had long been festering beneath the surface of our fractured relationship. Upon my return home, I confronted my wife about her relationship with Hugo, her initial denial a feeble attempt to shield herself from the harsh light of truth that now illuminated her deceit. But as I presented the incriminating photos of her and Hugo together, her facade crumbled like a house of cards, her lies unraveling before my eyes. She confessed to knowing him, her words a whispered admission of guilt that hung heavy in the air like a dark cloud, casting a pall of despair over our fractured marriage. But even as she attempted to downplay their interactions, insisting they were merely innocent conversations devoid of impropriety, her deception was laid bare when I unveiled the existence of the hidden camera, her cries of shock and embarrassment a testament to the depths of her betrayal. In that moment, I was devoid of anger or heightened emotions, my heart a cold, unyielding stone in the face of her deceit, my mind a steel trap that held fast to the truth that had long eluded me. For I had weathered countless storms, and now, armed with irrefutable evidence, it was time to confront the harsh truth head-on, to take decisive action in the face of betrayal and deceit, to reclaim the shattered remnants of my fractured marriage and forge a new path forward, alone. In the aftermath of the revelation, tears flowed freely from both of us, mingling with the weight of the past 2 months of agony and betrayal. She collapsed to the floor, prostrating herself before me, pleading and begging for forgiveness at my feet. It was a harrowing scene, one etched into my memory forever. With a heavy heart, I posed the question that haunted my thoughts: how long had this affair been transpiring? In a moment of raw honesty, she confessed that it had begun just 2 months after our relocation, nearly a year ago. The weight of her admission hung heavily in the air, suffocating me with the reality of her infidelity. Curiosity propelled me to delve deeper, to understand the genesis of this betrayal. According to her, they had met innocuously at the park, engaging in casual conversation. He, claiming to be a fitness trainer, had enticed her with the prospect of his home gym, and in her boredom, she had accepted his invitation. And thus, the seeds of deceit were sown. Her words echoed in my mind, painting a picture of betrayal that I struggled to comprehend. It has been over a year since that fateful confrontation, yet the wounds remain fresh, the scars still tender. The pain of having my reputation tarnished by the actions of this woman lingers, casting a shadow over every interaction, every glance. The weight of disdain from those around me feels crushing, a constant reminder of the betrayal that tore my world asunder. In the aftermath of our confrontation, tears flowed freely from both of us, mingling with the weight of the past 2 months of agony and betrayal. She collapsed to the floor, prostrating herself before me, pleading and begging for forgiveness at my feet. It was a harrowing scene, one etched into my memory forever. With a heavy heart, I posed the question that haunted my thoughts: how long had this affair been transpiring? In a moment of raw honesty, she confessed that it had begun just 2 months after our relocation, nearly a year ago. The weight of her admission hung heavily in the air, suffocating me with the reality of her infidelity. Curiosity propelled me to delve deeper, to understand the genesis of this betrayal. According to her, they had met innocuously at the park, engaging in casual conversation. He, claiming to be a fitness trainer, had enticed her with the prospect of his home gym, and in her boredom, she had accepted his invitation. And thus, the seeds of deceit were sown. Her words echoed in my mind, painting a picture of betrayal that I struggled to comprehend. It has been over a year since that fateful confrontation, yet the wounds remain fresh, the scars still tender. The pain of having my reputation tarnished by the actions of this woman lingers, casting a shadow over every interaction, every glance. The weight of disdain from those around me feels crushing, a constant reminder of the betrayal that tore my world asunder. Thankfully, justice prevailed as the company Hugo worked for had strict policies against such behavior, leading to his eventual termination. Despite having never engaged in meaningful conversation with Hugo before, except for exchanging cordial smiles during our dog walks. Once I was resolved, I spared no effort or expense in exacting my retribution upon him, mirroring the devastation he had wrought upon my life. His employment terminated, he was compelled to vacate his apartment, a consequence of his actions. Whether he was cognizant of my involvement in his downfall remains uncertain, concealed behind the veils of speculation. Approximately 6 months following my daughter's revelation regarding her mother and Hugo, my ex-wife gave birth. Though we no longer cohabited, I attended the hospital to ascertain the paternity of the newborn, cognizant of the potential resemblance to Hugo due to their shared Hispanic heritage, a similarity that could easily obscure the truth. The uncertainty weighed heavily upon me until the results of the paternity test would be revealed the subsequent day. Unlike the bustling atmosphere that surrounded the birth of our daughter, this occasion was characterized by a palpable absence, with only my presence serving as a testament to the fragile ties that bound us. Throughout the final months of her pregnancy, my ex-wife grappled with a torrent of remorse and despair, a solitary figure adrift in a sea of regret. Her pleas for clemency and entreaties for forgiveness persisted until the onset of labor, where relief washed over her at the sight of my steadfast presence. Meanwhile, I took the opportunity to inform Hugo of his newfound fatherhood through a missive dispatched from the confines of the hospital, yet his response was conspicuously absent. Months later, my ex-wife divulged that his interest in the child only sparked upon being served with a notice of child support. Presently, she toils tirelessly in a full-time capacity, grappling with the rigors of a lifestyle that parallels that of a high school teacher, if not more arduous. While the descriptor difficult may be subjective, her current circumstances starkly contrast with the relative comfort she once enjoyed. Meanwhile, I have assumed sole custody of our daughter, despite the terms of our divorce decree stipulating shared custody. Fueled by an unwavering commitment to her well-being, I have engaged the services of a full-time babysitter, ensuring her sanctuary from the challenges that beset a less affluent lifestyle. My toil and dedication serve as a testament to my unwavering resolve to afford her a life devoid of hardship, a testament to the boundless love that courses through my veins.